Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of From the District with State Senator Suzanne Weber, who is actually coming to us from the district this week. How are
Yes,
you, Senator?
sir. I am good. I got home late last night. I had yesterday, after all of our floor and all of my committee meetings, I was asked to go to Oregon State and be a guest lecturer at a policy class. And then I went to a students group that is foreign students that are working on learning about policy. And so I spent about 2.5 hours just talking about my experience of, how bills move, what happens to them, how they're influenced, how they're created, um, what happens, how we lobby. Um, it was a very interesting afternoon experience.
Excellent. Well, that's some of the fun stuff about being a state legislator is not just being in the building and doing things there, but actually the great things you get to do outside of the building.
Well, and last weekend, I got to go to, I was invited to Welch's to speak at the Dorchester.
Oh, yes. It's always a fun event.
Yes, and there will be a video available.
Yes, I hear you did. I hear you did wonderfully. Many people told me that things went really well. Let's dive into it. We've got a couple of weeks here, so but
Yes.
there's a lot happening. Just in this last week,
Yes.
a couple of bills we want to talk about, and then we want to talk about where things are with the big transportation package that's out there.
Yes.
Let's talk about a bill that your first bill that we've gotten across the finish line. It's on the way to the governor's desk. Actually passed with 0 no votes, which is
Amazing.
pretty good bill. SB 465. Tell us about this bill.
Well, what this is and the individual account, it raises the cap on it. So people can put money in there and save it and be able to use money to be able to pay for education, housing, and other things that are really important to life, really. And in the past, the amount that could be drawn from it was limited. And so what we did was we expanded the amount that could be put in the account and expanded the amount that could be withdrawn from the account.
Right. I think it was originally it couldn't accrue more than $6,000. And I tell you, $6,000
in today's housing market.
Yeah.
And we were talking yesterday about what it costs to be a student going to one of our major universities.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't pay for no, you couldn't even pay for a session
semester.
with that.
So $6,000. Obviously, the IDAs can be used for numerous things, but they are mostly used, I think, in what we've seen, and it's kind of our focus in being able to purchase a home as a down payment.
Right.
So that $6,000 accruing over a year, that whole system is gone, and that limit is gone, and it is you can't put more than $20,000 a year.
Right.
Again, it can accrue as much as you want, but it can only you can only put in $20,000.
Yeah,
so
cap is $20,000.
Makes a heck of a lot more sense. $20,000, even though it still is not a ton of money in terms of buying a house, that will at least get you a down payment on a starter home. So that's good news.
And one of the people I worked with this on was Representative Ruiz from the Clackamas area.
Yeah.
And he was so passionate about this because it was an opportunity that he had,
Right.
to be able to pay for school and then eventually a down payment on a house. And so in that real life experience that he brought to the table was so valuable.
Right.
And it increased the importance of what we were doing, for sure.
Right. Representative Ruiz and we disagree on many, many, many things, but I think I think I speak for both of us when I say that he's congenial fellow and easy to work with when you do agree on a topic, and just a nice guy.
Yeah.
So thoroughly enjoyed working with him on that, and glad to see that is on the way to the governor's desk as we speak. It's been signed by the speaker, signed by the president, so it's off to the governor to decide whether she's going to sign it or not. I would be absolutely shocked if she did not sign it.
Exactly. And I'm hoping that when she decides to sign the bill, she will invite us to the sign. I was unable to attend the signing for the summer school bill this week because I had to chair the education committee. Senator Fredericks was ill, and so I didn't get to go to the signing of the summer school summer education bill.
Right. Well, hopefully she'll have a signing ceremony, and hopefully you'll be able to be there with Representative Ruiz. Another bill that is hopefully on its way to passing, been a priority of the Coastal Caucus, all of the coastal legislators for quite some time, and it looks like we might actually be able to get it across the finish line this year, and you were able to make your colleagues giggle a little bit in your carry speech.
I reassured them that fish poop was not cow poop, because a lot of the issues that DEQ deals with is poop, but fish processors especially were having difficulties with permits, and then they needed mixing zones for effluent that came out of the fish processing plants, and they were always having problems with that. Well, there were a lot of people that came together to once again tell people that the issues with human poop and cow poop are not the same as they are with fish poop, because of course fish are cold-blooded animals, and so they don't breed the same bacteria or what do you call them? Chloroforms. That come from warm-blooded animals. And so actually, when all of the things that come out of the fish processing plant go into the water, they go back to feed the fish and the crabs and everything else that lives on the bottom of the ocean.
Right. So what's going in is mostly just fish remains. And newsflash, if a fish dies in the water, it stays there.
It stays there.
So it's it really was an issue of terminology when people have, just as you said, when people hear wastewater or they hear effluent, they're thinking about what warm-blooded mammals produce, which is what are called coliforms, which are part of fecal matter. When that is put in water, that does create a very big problem. And so those same standards were being put on seafood processors who process cold-blooded animals. Right. So we had to fix the language.
We had to fix it, and we did a good job.
Yep.
And I made the Senate President laugh in the process, and that was good.
Sometimes disarming people is the best way.
Well, things get so serious in that building. People are so focused on, their tasks and making everything right. Sometimes you just need to just have a good laugh.
Right. And I think it was probably just the best way to explain what was going on.
Yeah.
It just explaining
Put it in simple.
It's not fish poop.
Right.
And hopefully it was able to disarm some folks who maybe heard this, even legislators who hear the word wastewater, and it just kind of sends up natural concerns.
Yes.
Which I get. But it just is different. And if you take a look at the testimony, or in person and in writing, they were chemical engineers, environmental engineers.
Right. They were people who knew.
Yeah, these are not political people.
Right.
These were folks who focused on biology and science, and they all said this is not a problem.
Right.
So hopefully that will be
Yes,
wrapped up soon, and we've got it passed. Yes, I think we got it passed.
we got it passed.
Okay, so it is on its way to the governor as well.
Right.
Hopefully, she will sign that bill as well. I know that, as I said, that has been a priority for the Coastal Caucus for some time.
Yeah.
So to get that across the finish line would be great. Again, like I said, I want to touch on the transportation package. There's been a lot of scuttlebutt, a lot of talk about that. You have been appointed to the committee that is meant to negotiate from
Right.
Republicans and Democrats. The Republicans, when we finally were able to read the package,
Right.
and not just the press release.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the package that was released is not the bill.
Right, it's just a
The
frame.
bill is
too big.
completely different. It's about that thick.
Yeah. So you will be able to be negotiating things. Obviously, we're in the minority. We're in the super minority. So our leverage is small. But
Right.
hopefully, we have some folks on the other side willing to deal in good faith, understanding that the needs that we have at the coast and in the rural part of even the Columbia
Right.
County and Washington County are different than they are in downtown Portland, and you cannot just dump the money into downtown Portland and to light rail.
Exactly. And the other thing is, we are dealing with unfinished projects from 2017 that the costs on absolutely exploded.
Yeah.
And so we have to look at, what is our project management? We really don't need 139 different people overlooking some of what we're doing. We need to get it done.
Right.
Which, we meet every Monday and Tuesday from 5 till about 7. And sometimes it was scheduled for 6:30, but there are so many issues that need to be addressed that we often go till 7 o'clock. And as a part of the negotiations committee, we meet in behind closed doors twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, an hour and a half on Tuesday and 2 hours on Thursday. And so we're going through that package. We're looking at things, and rather than cause a big stir, it was decided that we wouldn't be releasing what we decide on in a piecemeal form. We would prepare a package because there are a lot of things that need to be in that package that need to be addressed. There's the weight mile limit for truckers. They've been penalized for years. That's got to be made right.
Well, I believe the transportation framework makes it worse. Even makes the penalty even
Yes.
stiffer, which is a problem.
So that's one issue that's being negotiated. There's the fact that we've got 100,000 electric vehicles on the road in Oregon that are not paying for their share of road taxes. How is that going to be resolved? They're heavier. They're putting more wear and tear on our highways. We don't have the infrastructure to continue to make sure that they can proceed being charged. I mean, that's something else. We've got a lot of environmental mandates that go along with this. And are they common sense?
Right.
If you've only got one big truck charging station in the whole state of Oregon, how are you going to require that you have the ability to charge these big semis that are on the road?
Yeah. One of my big concerns, I actually really like electric vehicles, not for environmental reasons, just because they're a lot of fun to drive. I mean, they go fast. My concern about, for what it's worth, for these vehicles is the minerals that are required for these batteries. These rare
Exactly.
minerals, they come from China, and they're not mined in a that is socially responsible way.
No, they're not.
They're making the environment worse than fossil fuels. They are often mined by children.
I was going to
Uh,
say there are the conditions under which they are mined.
so
Who is mining them?
this
Yes.
is, it just seems like and forgive me for getting a little more political than we generally do here. It it just seems like a first world luxury, uh,
Yes.
virtue signaling on the backs of the of poor communist oppressed children,
Yeah.
and that's
Um,
bad. You know, and we never get to see it. We never see these
right.
children, so they're out of sight, out of mind. But they're
Right.
there, and they're
Yeah.
doing this work so that you can virtue signal on your car
Right.
in this place that contributes point something percent of carbon emissions of the world.
Right.
I,
And you know, we have Senator Robinson,
mhm,
and each day he provides us with a remonstrance. Actually, it's a common sense look at the data behind climate change
yeah,
and carbon emissions in the world. And I have learned a great deal from his 2 minutes a day educating us
mhm,
on what is the actual condition of what is being released into the environment. And you know, when we talk about climate change, you know, it would really be a good idea if people looked up his remonstrances and were able to focus on, you know, how he looks at the storms, hurricanes, earthquakes throughout the centuries, to be able to say, no, folks, this isn't what's happening. Um,
I think Senator Robinson and his father, who was there before
yes,
him, no matter what you think politically of them, they are remarkably
they're
intelligent people.
brilliant. Yes,
Um, whether you agree with them or not, you should read what they have to say. And if
yes,
you disagree with them, you should be able to point by point do so in the science and not just based on your virtue signaling. My worry is just that we are destroying our roads even more. We've cut off a source of revenue and gas tax. We are doing virtually no benefit to the environment by using these things. We are creating a socially a social disaster affecting poor people and children in China, and we're benefiting a foreign communist adversary. It
you're
just
right.
the negative outweighs the positive so much more. And again, I love electric vehicles. I love driving them. Teslas are cool. I it's just I I cannot in good faith drive them at this point until we get to a point where
Well, there is going to be a point where it's going to be um, socially, uh, it's going to we're going to be able to take care of those children who are mining in China, because there will be finally an awareness, a global awareness. Look how long it took us to get to a global awareness of the expensive shoes we were wearing.
yeah, yeah, I think it's really easy to virtue signal in what we do and how great we are because we're not using fossil fuels.
Carbon fuels, yes.
But the reality is the other the if you're not going to use natural gas, which quite
Right.
frankly is much cleaner and
Yes.
readily available here in the United States. Um, I
Yeah.
don't know why we don't do that.
And you know, we haven't gotten to that discussion at this point in time.
I suspect you won't.
Being on the quieter side of the Capitol, we haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we are. I think this is an important conversation to continue to have through
I
these,
think, yes,
certainly through the transportation package, but just as a whole. I know Oregon, we're so dedicated to our environment. I think that's a great thing, but I
right.
also think we cannot do.
Well,
Go ahead.
there's another aspect to this, and that is we have so many agencies that are not totally accountable to the taxpayers.
Oh, yes.
We have got to look at the accountability of ODOT, just like we need to look at the accountability of OHA or
Yeah.
Oregon Department of Education.
Well, ODOT especially, I think, given their past management of money,
Right.
given that you cannot have a program or a project that's supposed to last 3 to 4 years, last 10 years, that's financially unsustainable because the costs are going to explode.
Well, they have.
Yeah.
Look at the projects that came out of the 2017 legislation.
How many of those are done?
Well, there are a lot of them done, but the ones that aren't done are the ones that the cost absolutely exploded. And we can't even begin to look at paying for those.
Right.
And you have to remember that some of the money that was destined for repairs here along the coast was taken away from us so that it could go to the Abernathy project because they were in such dire financial straits last year. Well, if that's happening here in Tillamook with our little railroad bridge, it's happening all over the state. It's like funds are being sucked into a vortex, spinning around, and we have nothing to show for it.
That right there is the biggest problem. It would be one thing for money to get sucked up from the Juno Hill project to finish up a project in Portland.
Right.
I get that because all our trucks go through Portland. They do all our manufacturing products that are manufactured, whether it's food or whether it's other products at the coast, have to go through Portland. You want a good transportation system. But if it's getting sucked up into a project that isn't anywhere close to finish and won't be finished anytime soon, that's a big problem.
But you got to look at the fact, I know I'm going on that transportation is more than our roads. It's our trains. It's our transit, our buses that are out there. It's bicycles. It encompasses all of those things. Transportation is also taking the handicap ramps. You look at one of those things with the little orange bubbles, you're looking at about $35,000 each one of those. That program, because of that lawsuit, which, had to happen most likely,
right.
$1.9 billion, and we're not finished with it by any means.
All right. And you got a bill, which hopefully we'll be able to get across the finish line. We don't even know how much money we owe everybody in terms of these lawsuits. And you've got a bill.
I have the bill.
Passed the Senate. I think we had it.
I had it in I testified in the House committee yesterday,
right.
And I'm very pleased that Senator Gelser-Bluen,
yes.
Democrat from Corvallis, felt compelled to come in and testify on it also.
She's on fire for this bill too. And this is, remind folks, I don't have the bill number in front of me, but let's remind folks what this bill does. There's a lot of money that we, as the state of Oregon, have been sued for and have judgments against us that have to be paid out. There is nowhere where that is actually aggregated.
No,
we don't know how much we owe. And
we say that there is supposed to be a fund with a balance of $100 million to be able to pay for those lawsuits. Currently, is it within the last how many months? That's down to $40 million. And we have lawsuits coming in very regularly that are going to eat that up and more. And we haven't heard anything about it.
Right. And whether or
There's no audit.
And whether or not you like it or not, everybody's holding their breath in terms of federal funding in a lot of ways, because the state of Oregon, the executive branch, has dug in its heels on DEI and ESG and that social agenda and said, it doesn't matter if we bankrupt the state of Oregon, we're going to keep doing this.
Right.
The Port of Portland was smart enough to say, you know what, this is not worth it. But like the state of Oregon is saying, we're going to do this. That could blow a massive hole into our budget, and that's hanging over all of our heads right now. So
right, Yeah, and unfortunately, we have, with this DEI thing, um, and looking at the, federal issues surrounding it, um, Oregon digging its heels in may not be the best for us. And unfortunately, I see some organizations, when I look at their budgets, maybe have never had a line item for that in the past, but they have one now.
Yeah. So, but I think this is we're getting off at a tangent, so we should probably wrap this up soon. But I
Yeah,
think it
I
is
know. Katie's going to kill
good
us.
opportunity. Yeah, probably a good opportunity for state and local governments to look at their budget and see how much money they actually get in
Right.
federal dollars. And here's the thing: if you are going to accept federal dollars, it will be tied to the federal government.
Exactly.
You are having to make decisions based on what the federal government is doing. So if you're taking federal grant dollars for this or that project, you are reducing your ability to be have local control over your government.
Right.
So keep that in mind.
And, right. And that is especially important in education at the present time.
Right. And this goes for Republicans too. Just for right
Yes.
now, there's a conservative government and that is emphasizing conservative values. There will come a time, probably,
It will come.
where the Democrats will hold power. So Republican cities, smaller cities, Eastern Oregon, when you rely on grants from the federal government, they will impose their agenda on you. So be careful in what you ask for.
We have some counties that have some projects that are very important that I can't speak about openly. And they are really, they're thinking that it's their money from the federal government is going to come forward because the county voted in a certain way. It was a red county. And so they think that they'll be able to get money to accomplish what they want. We don't know that. We can't bet on that. We can't say that that's actually going to happen because, we're a half a world away from where the action is.
Yeah. Well, Senator,
okay.
we've gone. I think we've had some really good conversation today. I've enjoyed it.
Yes, and I want to tell you that we wiped the slate clean. We went all the way through the blue pages yesterday, and so the blue pages that we get every day that tells us what bill is coming forward are going to be all new next week.
Which is impressive because usually it takes a while and you have to carry a bill over to the next day. And it's usually half the blue sheet. The blue sheet, is, as you said, is the agenda, the bill agenda for the day. And you got to carry it over. So the fact that you got it all wiped out, that's good news. At least good news until the bad bills start coming over and then we want to slow them down.
Well, actually, they're coming. And
in
the future, we'll be talking about guns because that is a possibility of something that will be coming in the near future. A lot of the things that are in the rules committee will be coming to us and they will be far more contentious.
Yep. Well, another thing for us to get sued over and an opportunity for you to have a report of judgments that are against the state of Oregon. So that'll be fun.
That's right.
Well, Senator, thank you very much. Thoroughly enjoy this as always.
Thank you very much. I really enjoy this opportunity.
Always. We have another 2 months or so, month and a half, 2 months.
59 days.
Yeah. Of possible legislative days. So we will keep these weekly podcasts up until then.
Yeah, and thanks for the grace for giving us the Easter week off.
Yes,
we appreciate that.
We appreciate that. I thoroughly enjoyed my time. I hope you did as well.
Yes, I did.
But we're back at it, and we'll be back with you next week. So thank you very much.
Thank you again, Adam.
You bet. We'll see everyone next week.
All righty.